Well, good morning. Welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev. Here we are, another week. Goes by so fast, huh?
It really does. Blows my mind, really.
It's like, what day is it? Oh my God, it's Tuesday. Oh my gosh, I got tea time tomorrow. Oh my gosh, so it's just fun. Every day I have something going on, and that's how I keep track of my days.
Me too. It's like, oh, I got work. I've got massages tomorrow.
Yeah.
But don't ask me what the date is because I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know the date either.
Sometime in
That's the
August.
funny
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, like my son's birthday was Sunday. Um, I have to set, I have, like, it's on my calendar, but I have to set me a reminder like 2 weeks before because the days will just go by so fast. And then I'm like, oh my God, I got to get a card. Oh my God, right? So I have a reminder 2 weeks before. Birthday's coming, get a card. Like, I seriously put that in my calendar. Get a card.
Nice. That's smart. That's smart.
Because it just all runs together and it goes by so fast. And I know, like, Monday to, like, I know what I'm doing each day, but to know the date, if you ask me the date, I'd be like, have to think about it, look it up. I don't know. Thank God for a laptop or my phone. Because
Exactly. Exactly.
so anyway, what's happening with you?
Just been working and stuff. One thing that's come up I would notice is with clients and stuff, not listening to their intuition. That's first thing off. Just not listening to their, and then we can call it intuition and we can call it internal guidance. I had a client in yesterday and she was saying, oh, I should have put ice on my neck, or ice on this. And it's like, I said, did you think that you had to, or did you feel like you kept getting this internal nudge of this guidance trying to tell you, put some ice on your neck, and you just kept ignoring it? And she says, I kept getting the notice to put some ice on my neck and I kept ignoring it. And it just reminded me, because I've done it a million times too, how many times it's like, even just recently, pay your bill, go pay that bill, go pay that bill. And then all of a sudden I remember and it's 5:30 and I'm paying the bill, but it's showing up late to them that it's not on the same day. So it's like,
Do you get it when that happens? When, like, so you need to pay the bill, but you keep putting it off, and then it's too late. Do you sometimes completely, let's just say you completely forget about that bill?
it's
And
happened.
then when it's actually like the day it's due, or a time like right around the time it's like that day, or a little bit, like at 5:30 or whatever, like you get this sensation something's not right.
Yep. You get an urge. And that's the thing that just goes to show you how well we listen to ourselves, because most of my clients come in because they're having pain. Well, this probably started a long time ago, but it escalated because you kept ignoring it. And not because you're doing anything wrong, but it's like it just had to get louder and louder and louder till it's screaming.
What term other than intuition, what other term would you use for what you're talking about?
I would say internal guidance. I mean, that's just another way of just saying, the little voice inside.
Okay. Spiritual guidance is what was on my mind this morning.
Gotcha.
And we have that internal guidance, spiritual guidance. It's all interconnected. Intuition, internal guidance, spiritual GPS, intuitive GPS, whatever you want to call it. Connection to our higher self, or to the universe, to God, source, again, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah, because we're part of it.
How do you feel when you're not connected to that?
Depressed, angry, mad, everything that doesn't feel good, that's how you feel. In a variety of levels. And sometimes it'll escalate more the more you stay in that space. And then you're finally like, oh my God, why do I feel so horrible? Yeah, it's because you totally disconnected from the feel-good
Find
stuff.
yourself being more judgmental and critical?
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Of myself and others. Angry, just really angry.
That's I'm like, preach, sister, preach.
Slamming the doors, and that's like the F and F this and F that, and
nothing goes right. right?
Yep.
Nothing, everything seems to be going wrong, falling apart, crashing.
Yep.
Yes, 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 and yes. And that is, to me, is just being disconnected from who we truly are. So if we have this intuition, or I've been using the word spiritual guidance because it reminds me, when I say spiritual guidance, it reminds me to come back to my heart center, because to me spirit comes from the heart. And so back to your heart center, get out of your head, get back to your heart center, get out of your head, because it's the head that is telling us that life sucks, the world's ending, nothing's going right. Spirit is like, everything's perfect,
That's right.
everything's just the way it's supposed to be. And spirit guides us from a loving space of learning. We're just here to play and learn, where it's our head that says, you're an idiot, you can't get it right. You know, we put ourselves down, you're too fat, you're too short, whatever, too tall, whatever, right? Those are the
Yep.
stories from our head. Our heart, our spirit does not give you those messages.
Nope. Because
And
when
like,
you're connected, it feels like hopefulness. It feels like joy. It feels like peace. It feels like, really, to me, it feels like anything is possible. Like you're on top of the world. Anything is possible. I can do anything. Just let me think about it and it'll happen. And
yeah.
you're connected. I mean, you feel the connection. It's totally different than the opposite.
And that internal guidance, that is, it can be very, and this can be tough for people, especially if you're just getting connected to it, is to be very better, very subtle.
Oh,
Like somebody
extremely.
is just like barely whispering in your ear to do something, and you get this like, what? Even just like you said, pay your bill, pay the electric bill. You go, oh yeah, yeah. I know I gotta pay that soon, but I'm too busy and I got all this other stuff to do. And then you forget, and then there's a late fee, and then what happens? You beat yourself up. I'm an
Yeah.
idiot. I should have paid it. I should have this. I should have that. I should have listened. Um, and that statement, I should have listened. Oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've said that, especially when I get that gut feeling, or that little whisper, or that sensation. It's just telling me to do something or not do something. Because that, we get those messages too. Don't do that. Um, and not listening to it, to that message, to that guidance, and doing it anyway, or not listening to it and not doing what is being suggested, and then just being beside myself for not listening.
So you say not listening. So that reminds me, I think that it's before I started getting to where I slowed down and listened, I was always like in my head thinking about the next thing. So if I'm thinking about the next thing I'm going to say or whatever, I'm not allowing, right? So I'm not allowing any information to come in. If I'm a person that constantly interrupts, or I always think that I'm right, I'm not allowing other possibilities to come in. So there were so many ways that I was shutting myself off on a daily.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started listening, once you slow down enough, and it sounds so crazy because I remember reading this crap and I'm like, this is a bunch of bullshit. Because I would like try to practice this. I would try to practice in this like it wasn't happening, but it's like because I was trying. But when you just let things be and you just start noticing that you're listening a little bit more, and don't expect yourself to listen like 100% right away, because you're in a practice of, oh, I'm right. And it doesn't matter if you're right or not, because we don't have to prove anything to anybody else. It doesn't matter. Everybody thinks they're right by their own perspective, in their own ways, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we don't have to prove to anybody that we're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. We just say what we need to say, and it's like planting seeds. That's all it is. But it's like I just remember all the times that I would be in conversations, and I would I was shutting the door, or I would say the big thing I would say so much was, I know. Oh, I know. And as soon as I say I know, man, that door for all that extra knowledge is like slammed. It's like, oh, she already knows. She
Yep,
don't need nothing else. So
I
now I'm
agree.
like, I don't know. I need help. I don't know.
I agree. My story too. I would say it was mainly, especially as a teenager. Oh, I know. I mean, teenagers do that, right? They
Yeah.
don't think that people who are 20 or 30 or 40 years older than them knows anything, but you know.
But
So
in turn, we never treated them like they knew anything. Do you know what I mean? A lot,
yeah,
not we, but in general, a lot of parents never listened to their children because they thought they were nonsense anyway. But I'm in a place of realization that our kids know so much, and the more I listen to my kids, it's like my mind is blown.
yeah, and then we keep in mind that we have. I mean, I'm not totally savvy on all these apps, right? And so I remember when the computers and all that started evolving, and you know the younger generations were all into it, where the older generations were like, meh, meh, I don't want no computer, I don't, you know, right? And there
I
was
don't
this
think
resistance. Yeah, there was this resistance, and then so now it's like we need to realize, like, yes, we have family members. I think we're digressing from spiritual, but that's okay. Um, we'll always come back around, don't we?
always,
Um,
always.
that our the older generations, so are wiser, right? Because they've been through so much more. But the younger generations are wiser as far as technology goes, and um, and other things. I'm not just saying just technology, but we are, especially children. I mean, you hand a child a phone and say, "Hey, I need help with this." Done,
Yeah,
right?
it's done.
Bada bing, done. Whereas, and we can learn from them, but if we're in that space of, oh, I know how to do this. Oh, I know that. Oh, you, like you said, you're just totally closing yourself off from learning anything new.
And from the guidance, from the spiritual guidance.
And
We
from
close
your
yourself
spiritual
off
guide.
from it. And that's the thing. I think a lot of kids are open to that naturally until they learn whatever they've learned from their people around them.
Yeah.
Let things off and stop listening just because they do take on the same traits as their caregivers.
Yeah.
So as long as we just let them be, they're just it's not that they just do all this stuff right away. They're just open. They're open so the information just flows right in. They know right where to go to because they're not blocking it, because we've learned to block things.
Right.
And we've learned to block things from our heart, which is one of our biggest parts. That's where we get our connection from, that a lot of people don't really understand.
And that's why, I mean, if you think about it, like, okay, so I just recently listened to a podcast, and it said, so I mean, first of all, we don't even know everything the brain can do, but we know that we are using a very small portion of it, right? But then they're saying that the the gut the gut is the second brain, and the heart is the third brain. Okay, so anyway, we have like three brains in our body.
Yeah.
Well, however you want to number them. To me, I would say like our heart center is our first brain.
Our heart
Um,
is the first one that's created.
it is the first
Or
thing that's created, and so being guided. Okay, so w- when we block ourselves off from our heart space, that's when, very very common, more common than not, that we have heart problems.
oh
We're
yeah.
clogging the arteries. We're clogging ourselves from loving ourselves and loving others. Um, having heart attacks because we um, been hurt so much that we allow it to hurt our heart, and um, heartache, the
Oh yeah.
breakup that caused heartache, or the passing of a significant other that you've been married to for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? Shortly thereafter, the other spouse will pass from heartache, heart problem, a heart attack. Um, and so anytime somebody, to me, when I'm in conversation, say, "Oh, I have heart problems," that's just immediately where my head goes. It's like, "Oh, you've had bad relationships. You've allowed it to block you from love. You're not fully expressing your love towards other because you don't want to get hurt." Right? Our heart, man, it pumps our blood, and that's life. Blood is our life. And if we are restricting our heart center, which is our spirit center, then we're just restricting the blood flow through our body and allowing ourselves to fully embrace life.
It's true. And I would probably say I spent, God, probably 3/4 of my life blocking my heart, but not realizing, blocking your heart so you don't get hurt, but you don't realize how much you're blocking from coming in. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that had hit me. It's like, man, all this time I've not allowed if someone was around me to really truly love me, I did not allow them.
Yeah. Because I mean, we get in that mindset, especially if we've already had a bad relationship or whatever. Maybe you got really close to somebody and they died. I mean, that's heartache, right?
Yeah.
So whether it could be I don't know, somebody left you unexpectedly, just ended a relationship. I mean, it could go either way. Um, but totally forgot where I was going with this. But anyway, we com- we completely shut, like we put a wall up.
Yeah.
And not only are we not allowing ourselves to love, which is our spiritual being, we are also not allowing it to fully come in. And it's because of the fear that something bad's going to happen.
Somebody could take it away.
Yep, it's going to get taken away. And so we, even by doing that, like we can't fully embrace nature. We can't fully embrace an experience with others. We just cannot fully be in it because there's that fear, and it may not be in the forefront of the mind. It might be in the subconscious mind that if I fully enjoy what I'm doing, there's a bomb that's going to drop sooner or later, and it's going to take it all away. That's the way I lived for a long time. I would not get excited about anything. If I was going on a trip somewhere, I didn't get excited about it because I was like, no, something's going to happen, and then I'm not going to be able to go. And guess what? Guess what would happen? Of course, I know now that that was my manifestation process. But I mean, it's what we are processing, how we're seeing life, that is really keeping us from um, fully embracing what life is about. And that includes give and take, giving and receiving a love. So that figure eight again. You give love, you receive love. You give love, you receive love. But if you block that off, you're going to start having physical problems.
It's true. And it also goes to the beginning of the conversation. We're not allowing that connection with spirit, with the creator, with the universe, whatever you want to call it, with your internal guidance. We're not allowing any of that.
Yeah.
That spiritual guidance. You're slamming the door on all that stuff. And it's not because spirit's not there and still loving you the whole time, because they are, because God is, because the universe is. It's because you're just not allowing it. That's why you feel all the things that you feel, angry and depressed, and
that love's got to start with you first.
it really does.
So most of my life was expecting everybody else to love me.
Oh yeah, because that's what you're taught, though.
That's right. I was taught that. I had to learn it.
Exactly. When you go through any type of sexual abuse or any type of abuse like that, we're taught that way. We're not taught to allow. We're taught to focus on that person. We're taught to pay attention to their energy. So many subtle things that we're taught that we don't even recognize until we get older and we start looking at things. And maybe not necessarily older, but till you get to the place where you can look at things more from a neutral place. So you don't have attachment to it and realize, oh my gosh. So this is what was going on the whole time. Not, oh my God, I was a victim and this blah, 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 blah happened. No, it's just, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing this whole time due to the circumstance. Because I didn't know how to.
Right.
So we get to where we're at. So like I would say, I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to nurture. There were so many things I didn't know how to do
Right.
because I wasn't trained that way.
And I love that. There's so many women that I work with that, when we start having conversations about their past, because, when we have a conversation, I teach them about what they did in their past. They did it because that's what they knew. No
Exactly.
different than me. I was doing what I knew
Yeah,
because nobody taught me any differently. I had to learn something new in order to do something different. And
exactly.
along that path of recognizing that everything I did in childhood, adolescence, young adult was learned behavior based on what everybody was teaching me. Nobody was teaching me this internal guidance thing.
No, and it was very unsatisfactory as well. Nothing
Yes.
was very good
Right.
because we didn't love ourselves, so we didn't know how to love ourselves.
Yeah, so here we are, spirit in a body coming onto this earth. Spirit is just pure love, pure light, pure joy. And then we get formed by, meaning our behaviors, our patterns, our habits, things like that are formed by those people that are raising us and very significant in our upbringing. And because of that, we lose that connection. Not We don't lose the connection, we just get disconnected from it, meaning there's just space between spirit and human. And I knew as a young person, because of experiences that I had, that there was something beyond human life. Like there was something happening that um, made me question a lot of stuff. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I read a book and it opened up the whole spiritual side and started talking about our spiritual guidance, our intuition. And of course, I needed to know what this intuition thing was. And the more I learned about it, and the more I was getting connected to it, and the more I was implementing meditation and taking the time to sit and be quiet, doesn't mean like I was able to shut everything off, because by no means was I able to do that in the beginning. It takes some time, it takes some programming of a new behavior. And so, but the more I sat and was able to quiet my mind, then like ideas flowed to me, and for classes and things that I had forgotten about to do or whatever, right? It just, or the peace, just having that peaceful sensation, just sitting in a room and just having that peaceful sensation is so worth it.
It
and
really is.
and when we're in the hustle and bustle and busy lives, and our spirit's like, freaking breathe already. It's like, just sit and take some deep breaths for like 2 minutes, that would be awesome. It can be such a peaceful, calming sensation, and that's really what our body wants. But listening to that little subtle hint that says, hey, you need to sit down and breathe, consciously breathe. And we're like, I don't have time for that. I got stuff to do.
If we think about those, because I'm thinking too, sometimes I've been in such a space, when you get to that place, like you just can't take anymore. And it's like, God, I just need to do this. And it's almost as if you're screaming at yourself, you need to go do this, but you don't listen to it. We just feel like it's a need it's just a desire that we want that's not going to be fulfilled. And it's almost screaming at you, because that's what has happened to me quite a few times.
And what's
So
the
maybe,
point of me just sitting and breathing?
yeah,
Right? You
but
roll
yeah,
your eyes. You're like, well, I just want to sit and breathe. I'm breathing all the time.
that's because you're fighting against it. That right there is your guide. So, right, we can go to your emotions and stuff. If you sit for a few minutes, and especially if you're angry, you can start sitting, okay, why am I angry? And then you start breaking it down. Next thing you know, within a couple of minutes, you're not even in that space anymore. You feel good. That's why I always say, even when I get into my spaces, because I get into spaces, I was in an angry space yesterday afternoon. So it's like, I knew that I had strayed off my path. I knew that I was either thinking about the past or I was stuck in the future. I wasn't thinking about right now. I wasn't even in right now. I was just pissed.
Yeah, yeah,
Really, I mean, really, just angry. But just really taking the time to slow down once I slowed down enough and I just was breathing. And it wasn't like I was even at that time focused on, it might have crossed my mind a few times, like what's my deal or whatever, but it was just slowing down. And then all of a sudden it's like everything, you could kind of see everything. It's like having having the wheels kind of spinning, but something got stuck in there. That's all. And then when you slow down enough, it kind of, yeah, exactly. It just kind of works its way out and you're back into the flow of things. And then it's like that never even happened. And then when you're in the now, you don't even think about that stuff. It doesn't even matter. It's already passed. It does not even matter. You're way beyond it.
yeah.
But we
And
got
that,
to pay attention to what we're feeling too. If we pay
oh man,
attention early on, then we don't get into those places. So somewhere, if I was paying attention early on in my day, I would have recognized that, oh, you're kind of going off the deep end over here. And I don't know if I can say I picked up energy from somebody else. It's possible because I have done that. I'm better about it, but I had done that. And it's like, that could have very well been it, but I wasn't paying attention. Just because we all do it. I'm not perfect first by any means, by any
yeah,
stretch
no,
of the
yeah, I don't know. We're still practicing too, sister, every day.
today, every day, every day.
Yeah, I make sure I make sure like my students and clients understand that about me, because here's one of the things um people uh you know they because I've done this and I know others have done it to me, is like um you see somebody who seems to be very or more advanced in life in these practices and they put you on a pedestal, and I just tell my clients and my students, I'm like, I am just like you. There are days I fall off the wagon, I have an anger moment or I have a frustration moment or whatever it is. I said the only difference is I've been practicing this longer than you, and so that I don't stay in it as long. And I can recognize it and pull myself out. But it took many, many, many years of practice. And that's all it is. I've just been practicing it longer than you, but I still get in that mode of, like you said, I'm just kind of veered off the path a little bit, and I'm in this mud, and I don't like to be in that mud. So I do that processing right now, because now I'm not afraid to look at my feelings. I'm not afraid to recognize how those emotions that are uncomfortable, or look at the situations that are making me falter. But I'm like on it. I know there's something off and I want to look at it right now. Whereas somebody who is new to this practice, they're like, I don't want to look at my past. I don't want to look at any of that. It's upsetting. It's damaging. It freaks me out.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good, right? And they don't want to be in that space. And then it's getting them to understand that no, what you did at that time was what you knew how to do. That's it. It's just
Yep.
what you knew how to do at that time. So let's just say, all right, I did that. I did it. But now I'm getting new information and I can do something different. And because I have this new information, I know I'm not going to do or make the same decisions and choices I did back then.
Oh no. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
But then we can move into, as we're aging and having these experiences, that we are very wise women now. Isn't that great? I'm like, I am so full of wisdom. I love that. But it's
You are.
because it's thank you, because we walk through those storms. We walk through them. We recognize them. We recognize our behavior. We recognize our part in it. We recognize why we did it. The whole package. And now I have this wisdom, and so when somebody crosses my path, I can go, look, this is what you're doing. This is why you're doing it. Here's what you can do different, and let's move on and have a more joyful life.
Exactly.
But they get too wrapped up, and I know it because it took me a while to look at my past as well, because I felt so much shame and guilt that and that's what it is, shame and guilt. So it just it's almost like It's those moments in that very beginning stage of, you know what, just pull your big girl panties up and let's look at this. Let's dive in. Because once we do that, it's like this huge weight comes off.
Exactly. And feel it. There's not, the thing is, we've gotten so afraid of feeling things because we got hurt when we were kids or whatever. You get so afraid of feeling things. Feel it. It's not going to kill you. It's not. You feel it, it just goes away. Then you realize, you recognize that it wasn't so bad. And maybe you can give yourself a hug at that time and say that you did the best you could with
Yeah.
the tools you had, like you've
Right.
told me a million times.
I know. I say it over and over. Like we all did the best we knew how to do with the information and knowledge we had at that time. Now we're
I
in a
said,
new time.
we are. And we
Even
have so
yes,
much knowledge. There's so
yeah.
much knowledge out there.
Oh my gosh. And yesterday was a different time. The last 5 minutes is a different time, right? You're gaining
Exactly.
information as we go, and so utilize that information to help you heal emotionally. Yeah, heal emotionally. And I personally had a huge problem with forgiveness, and but really, what it comes down to, if you want to forgive people for what they've done to you, put your name at the top of the list.
Oh, yes.
And then you'll find out that a lot of the rest of them will fall off. You don't even need to address it. But again, you're forgiving yourself for the choices and decisions you made at that time because you didn't have that internal guidance guiding you. And that's what is so valuable about our intuition, about, you know, I recognize this relationship isn't healthy. So why am I staying in it? My internal guidance is going to tell me this is not a healthy relationship. Let's move over here away from it. If it's a family member, you can still love them at a distance. Doesn't mean you have to
Absolutely.
stay completely, um, in contact with them. Say a prayer for them, let them move on their way. You come over here, find some healthy relationships. That internal guidance that says, uh, don't walk down that street today. It just coming back to our emotions are also part of that internal guidance.
Absolutely. It helps us guide us. And if we're not feeling good, we know that we're not connected. Period. It's that simple. It's simple. And when
And,
we're feeling good, we are connected.
it's really simple. We make it hard because
We do.
we don't understand it. Nobody taught us, right? But now there's so much information out there, and here's what I tell people too: is listening to your internal guidance, your spiritual guidance. Is that when you are going on the internet looking at stuff, researching things, if so, let's say you're looking up information about intuition, you may have to look over 4, 5, 10, 20 websites, not just one, many. And you take the pieces that feel good. And that's where you begin to use your intuition. Does this piece of information feel good to me? And you might read their whole thing in their website. Take the pieces that feel good and the rest that seems off or you're not ready for, just set that aside and go to the next website. And in that time, really, it comes to a common sense. Like take the pieces that are repeated over and over and over and start implementing that. Just start utilizing that information. And then when you're ready, you can go a little deeper, right? But use your body to feel into, does this feel good to me? Does this resonate with me right now? Or is it
Yeah, little ways.
resistance?
Yeah.
What?
I was gonna say little ways, like if I feel like, oh, I'm bored with this, that means that you're done with that area. Or if you feel, like this is ridiculous, that's not setting with you. But if you feel like it, because for me, a lot of times I'll feel like, oh, that's really good. And then it might say a little tidbit of something in there. Next thing you know, I'm writing down that word or that sentence or maybe that website. Now I'm going to the next place. That's our guidance, like guiding us. It guides us the whole time to the next place, to the next place, to the next place. It does, as long as we're listening.
And you could get through the whole read and everything, and you're just like, yeah, there's some of it that felt good, but then at the very end, there's this book, right?
Exactly.
Read this book, and you're like, oh, that sounds great. So you order that book, and then that book leads you to something else. So yeah, it's just that little whisper that says, read this.
It's a journey, right? It's all a journey. We're on this journey, and that's if we look at it like that and make it fun, then it's a journey. If you wake up every day with being excited, like what's going to be shown to me today? I'm so excited. What could possibly be? Or when you're not feeling good, or even when you're feeling good, like how can it be? How can I feel better than this right now? Like just there's just different ways people are in the tendency to saying, "Oh my God, how could it get any worse?" But it's like change your words. How could it get any better?
Yeah, there's a thing. I actually have it written on a post-it note um, in my workspace, and it says, how good am I going to let life get?
It's a
That's,
choice.
that's up to me. It's not me expecting other people to make life good for me. It's me making that choice to make life good for me. And that includes opening my heart space to love. I mean, I had that closed off for many years with anger and resentment, pain, and all that. And I'm like, wow, this don't even feel good trying to protect myself. Putting
No,
that wall up, that doesn't even feel good.
and if you
Because
don't know
really,
how, really go ahead.
I was gonna say, just actually put that wall up, and that's an energetic wall, and it's pushing people away. They can't even
It is.
they can't even get close to you. Like you can't even form a good friendship, let alone an amazing friendship. And by doing that, you're repelling people away, and these relationships could have been amazing,
Absolutely.
and they could have helped you on your journey of healing, or actually opening up to enjoy life or whatever it might be. But you repelled them because you had this wall, this energetic wall there. They have no interest in you. They're just like, yeah.
Yeah. It's what I was gonna say is um we have a we a lot of us don't even know how to get to that point. So for me, it's even asking, you don't have to, you can say it out loud by yourself. You can ask questions inside your head like, how do I love? How can I be shown love? How do I let love in? Like there's just it was crazy because I think I was a kid that was always used to being told what to do, that it's like I didn't even know how to ask questions because I wasn't asking them forever, or maybe being afraid to ask questions. Well, if I'm doing it out loud at home and no one's hearing me, then it doesn't matter. If I'm doing it inside my head, it doesn't matter. I'm not judged by it. I'm not going to judge myself by it, but I'm truly wanting answers. And it's like if you pay attention to that inner voice or that spiritual guidance, you'll start getting the information. You just will. I saw a girl yesterday at the gym. She's younger, like a teenager, and it's like it kind of reminds me of all the stuff we're talking about because it reminded me of me when I was a kid. She looked like she was pissed off at the world, and it's like that's that wall. So whatever has happened to her, she's created this defensive wall that she's got up, and she wants to keep everybody at a distance. So when someone comes up and and inside you're thinking, I really want this love. I really want someone to love me. I want to feel like I'm important or worthy or all these things. You don't even realize. I didn't realize it. My anger and stuff would kept everybody at bay. It was that energetic wall, right? It kept everybody away,
That
blocking.
that resting bitch face. Yeah, I used to have
Oh
that
yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. I just look mad all the time.
I even looked like that when I was sleeping, I think.
Probably me too. Yeah, and we want here's the craziness. This is how crazy we are. We as humans are absolutely crazy. That's all I can say is that we put a wall up, right? We cover our heart center, we're protecting ourselves from pain and anger, but yet we want to have a loving relationship, but yet we are repelling the relationship, and then we wonder what's wrong with me, and then you get into that depression, and then it's just a cycle. And it's like, well, let's start with loving yourself. Let's just start there. don't eh, don't worry about having to let somebody in. Let you in. So how do you love yourself, Bev?
Yes.
How do you do
Because
it?
if you can't love yourself, how can you, even if someone does get in, we
That's all right. It's come back. Are we
there we
back?
are, there we are.
All right, all right. So how do you love yourself?
Oh, how do I love myself? That's actually been more of a practice even more recently. It's loving the skin that I'm in. It's appreciating my body. It's appreciating my thoughts. It's loving that I know that I chose to come here. It's I was so really always looking at myself, judging myself all the time, but it was brought to my attention that it's like I've been comparing myself to what others expected, what maybe someone else liked in the person. So then it's like I would see that I was lacking in that. So now I'm looking at myself and loving all those parts of myself anyways. And then when I get into that space of really feeling that love, I just really turn that into me. I really flow it right back into me because I've noticed that it's easy sometimes for me to put that love out. So like if I'm watching Colton or Vivi or something and you feel that, you just feel like you're almost going to overflow, like you're going to cry, but it's like bringing that back right into yourself as well. Just feeling that flow back into you is another practice I've been doing.
Nice. What do you mean about choose to come here? What does that mean?
Oh, that I chose to be here on Earth. My beliefs are that I chose to come here. I picked my body. I, the Creator is within me as I am in everything else. So it's like, how can I look at myself and not love myself if I'm part of God or if I'm part of the universe? How could I not love myself when it's so amazing? So it's, you know, I chose to come here. I chose to be in this place. I feel like I chose my parents. I chose some of my experiences because I knew they were going to change the way I thought while I was here, help me to guide other people while they're here.
I heard that made a lot of sense to me when I started learning about we choose as spirits to come to this earth. Because of course, my first thought was, "What the hell was I thinking?" And then I heard, I heard Wayne Dyer talk about we come from source. We are source. We're already source. That's where the love and joy comes from, and that's who we are, spirit and body. And he said, think about it this way: if you have an orange, you cut the orange, you take a slice of orange. Where did the orange come from? Where did that slice of orange come from? It came from the whole. And that's what we are. We're part of the whole. We're part of source. We're part of God, creator, universe. And so if my spirit, so here's source, and my spirit says, "Oh, I want to go to earth," I'm still a piece of that, and I'm bringing that, and I'm just taking a physical body to have an experience here. And my growth and expansion, I really feel is my earth PhD schooling was to learn to love myself in the human body. And it's still a practice. It's like it's not like I have this all figured out, because I still get triggered, right? So if I still get triggered through anger or frustration or irritation or anything like that, then I know I still have some practice to do. Because if I'm doing that, then I'm still doing it to myself. So if I'm judging others, I'm really judging myself. And so I go, okay, I need to sit with this for a moment and figure out, where is this judgment coming from? Oh, this is what I did when I was 8 or 7 or whatever, right? Usually always goes back to the root of a childhood prior to 7. And and but again, just reiterating what I was saying earlier, I do it quicker than most people because most people don't have those tools yet, or they haven't been practicing as long as we have, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm
It's just
just
practicing a new way of being. Yeah.
Yeah, we do this tea time because we're sharing our wisdom about this stuff. It's not because we're better than anybody else. We're just saying, hey, we've been practicing this for quite some time, and this is what we've found that is working. And so there's no cost to it. Like, this information has been free, and there's no cost to you to implement those things that we're suggesting. It's free. There's no side effects either, I have to say. What we're offering up, there's no side effects other than
No,
there's a possibility that you might experience more love and joy in your life. So
Yeah, you might feel better.
Maybe just a
Maybe.
little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
But once you get that little glimpse of a little bit, then you're gonna want a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right? You want a lot more of that, right? And so
Yep.
it's just you have to keep practicing. That's just
And when
all
you,
practice, practice, practice.
yep. And when you dip down, recognizing when you get all upset at yourself because you dipped down, but being all right because you'll get right back out of it a lot faster this time than you did the last time.
Yeah. So in the beginning, right, there was you stayed in the anger, you've been hanging on the anger for 20 years. That's a long time, right? Because that person made you mad for whatever they did. Okay, great. We take a look at that, heal that piece, and then you'll find a lot of other pieces will get healed in the meantime. Um, but then somebody comes along and does it to you again, right? Different name, different face, but it happens again. Okay, well, instead of hanging on for it for 20 years, and then maybe you only hang it on to it for like 6 months. That's a huge difference. That is huge difference.
It is.
Okay, so then we go through that, and then okay, different name, different face shows up again, similar scenario. All right, well, now I'm just hanging on to it for 2 weeks. Practicing, practicing, right? Each time you get better and better and better. And we
Next
are
thing you know, you're
going,
down to hours.
say that again.
Next thing you know, you're down to hours. You're down to you're
Oh,
recognizing this
man.
and I haven't gotten smaller than that just yet. I mean, sometimes if I catch it right off, but I'm all right. But not, I don't always catch it right off.
Not always,
Mm-mm. But
but
I am better.
even, yeah, even down to a couple hours. You're like,
Exactly.
oh my God, I'm getting so good at this. And I celebrate that. Always celebrate that. Okay, well, I didn't hang on to it for 20 years. I only held on to it for 2 hours. Wow, what an amazing difference. And again, your body is your biggest indicator. You will notice when you release that scenario, that event, that situation, that blaming or that guilt or shame, like when you release that, your body just goes, right? Just like, oh, thank you for not hanging on to that one for 20 years. Thank you for just, short period of time. That was awesome.
Yes. And one of the things that we can do, which we've talked about before, is like in the morning when before you even get out of bed, a lot of times we'll think about our day and sometimes you're like, oh, I gotta go to work. But the opposite is of thinking about my day and thinking, oh, I get to go to work. And thinking about the things that you like about work, like, oh, I'm gonna earn some money today. Or I'm going to
Impact a life.
smile, I'm gonna see whoever and laugh or whatever. Whatever you can find that's positive about your day, but seeing that throughout your whole day, it's almost like creating your whole day so that we're not falling victim so much to the crap that's going on around you. So you don't feel like you're walking by the hurricane and all of a sudden next thing you know, you're right in it
Yeah.
because
You just
we
get
don't have
sucked
to
right
be.
in.
That's right. But we don't have to be because if we set, I say setting intentions, but I think it's bigger, really bigger than that. It's just really seeing your day, how we all kind of know what I was listening to something recently. I think it was on spirit science. But when we're doing something, we all like if I'm going to go in the race, you almost kind of see yourself. Okay, I've got to set up right here to get into the setup for when they, shoot the gun off and you're going to run or however they're going to do it. You kind of set yourself up, just not even knowing that you're doing it, but a little bit before you do it all the time. So it's like we can do that, but be more intentional about it in the beginning of your day. I'm not saying that it's always going to go great throughout the day, but you'll notice that a big majority of the day is going to be better. It doesn't mean that we're controlling it. It doesn't mean that we're trying to see it exactly how we want it to be, but we're like kind of creating it from a childlike space, from a fun space, from a place of ease.
Yeah. And like you said, when we open our eyes in the morning, you can lay there and be in that dreadful state, or you can say, I'm just open to having an amazing day, and set that intention even before you take the covers off. I am open to having an amazing day today, and every experience I have could result in an amazing amount of joy and having fun conversations. And you just play that story like setting up your day. It's just like writing a book, right? We want to write a book or write our story out for the day. If you have clients, I know my clients, in your case, or in my case, I know my clients are coming to me because they have some heaviness on their heart, some kind of heaviness. And I just know that when I interact with them, that my intention is that they're going to have some relief when we get done. And they may even have a smile, and I might even be able to give them a hug. And right. So
Yeah.
setting that intention that in our case, like, oh my gosh, I have this person to these people to impact their lives today. What an amazing gift I have to share. Those are the stories we want to tell ourselves. But then there's the people who really do dread going to work. So in order to change that, like you were saying earlier, is don't focus so much on going to your place of employment, but focus on the gratitude of that paycheck. That paycheck that you're getting right now, putting food on your table and paying your car payment, your insurance, and your electric bill, and your water bill, and your rent or house payment, right? Be in gratitude for why you're going to work and focus on that more. And then that shifts the energy of being able to open doors for maybe a promotion or another job opportunity that might be higher in pay with people that you're going to enjoy being with each day, right? But you got to change your focus, and that is super important that you change that right at the start of your day. You open your eyes, bam, you go right into your story and set your intentions for the day. That is loving yourself as well.
Yeah.
There's such a variety of ways to love yourself, express love toward yourself in your life. And don't just think it's just taking a bubble bath or getting a pedicure. There's so much more.
Get yourself some flowers. You know, just little things like that. And if you can't go out and get some flowers, find a flower and pick one outside or whatever and bring it in and just look at it, or go outside and just look at that flower. It's just like whatever makes you happy. If you have like a favorite clothes or favorite makeup or lipstick or a way you do your hair, it's like finding those little things that you do for yourself that make you feel good. Because you may not really look forward to a lot of things, but there are certain things that we all can have we look forward to.
Yeah, and just you mentioning flowers, I just have to share this real quick. Last week, my mother-in-law and we went to the grocery store, and they had roses that looked tie-dyed. So it's yellow, pink, blue, and then those blend and make purple and green. And we were just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I said, you know what? We need to buy some. We need to buy a bouquet and take them home and enjoy them, right?
Yep.
It's just things like that. If it makes your heart sing, get it.
And you
Do
don't
it.
realize it. Yeah, you don't realize how much that impacts you. Because I remember buying myself, because I've bought myself flowers, not recently, but in the last probably like 6 months. And I'd buy them and I just sit them up there on the counter. And every time I'd walk by them, I'd be like, oh my God, those just look so beautiful. And we don't realize that just acknowledging that kind of raises our energy. And then when we're in that space of appreciation, we get more things to appreciate. It's like, oh, and I would look at them and be like, my God, those flowers look freaking awesome. It just blows my mind because I'd be in that space. Once you're in it, milk it, right? When we say milk it, just try to get as much out of it as you possibly can of that enjoyment.
And I get that too, because we bought those roses and then they're sitting on our counter, and I'd walk by, I'm like, oh, those are so pretty, and I acknowledge them, and I'm like, stop, look at it, look at the colors, look at the shapes, really be in it.
Oh yeah.
And in those moments, in those moments when we do that, our body also relaxes, because we're in the beauty of something. We're in the moment of embracing something, right? And just I have this thing of being in awe of something, of just, wow, this started from a seed, and this seed knew to be a rose, and somebody had this idea to do these things with these colors, and how cool, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, how did they, and of course I could research it and look it up, but that's not the point. The point is just being in this space of, wow, this was so cool that somebody had this idea and did this with this rose. This is beautiful.
Don't you feel like there's another form of meditation though, when you're sitting in that appreciation place?
Oh, absolutely.
And so we talk about meditation a lot, but it's like there's so many different ways you can meditate. There's so many different ways. We've talked about it even with you driving and stuff, which also brings us right into that spiritual connection, which also gives us more information. It seems like the information flows. And if you had a problem earlier, it's like suddenly you've got solutions coming into you. It's like, why didn't I think about that earlier? Because you weren't in the space to receive it earlier. And that's all right.
Yeah, it's being in that space and asking. I would like guidance for, like you said, or how do I love?
Yeah.
And spirit, that guidance is going to come to you. That intuition, that spiritual guidance, that heart center message is going to say, well, schedule yourself a manicure. Go take a hot bath, or go for a walk, but really look at the things that you're seeing. Could be a car, it could be a rock, it could be the pavement. Just really focus on what's around you, and 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 ask the questions. And I'll say it to myself. I'm like, okay, universe, I need help with this client because apparently what I'm saying is not working. And then all of a sudden information will come and I'll just repeat it and they're like, oh yeah, and it's like light bulbs went off and healing happened. I'm like, okay, this is what. So yeah, there's so many ways to use that guidance.
It really is. And then even sometimes even asking, because sometimes we don't know what it feels like. Because I remember asking myself, like, what is, okay, God, what does that even feel like? What does love feel like? Because
Yeah.
it's like we don't have like a base point of what does that feel like, or what does that look like?
And once you ask, then you see it everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Also, people like maybe an older couple who's been together many years, you can just feel the love with them, or an animal, a dog comes into your presence, or you see the relationship between a dog and its owner, and you're like, oh, that's a representation of love, or right?
It's true.
But you got to ask.
Gotta ask.
And then when you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, we've been taught that if there aren't other people around, then we're alone. Then
Oh
that
yeah.
turns into being lonely, and then that turns into depression. But when you really think about it, that internal guidance, your spiritual guidance, if you say spiritual guidance, oh my gosh, there is so much around you. If you connect to spirit guides or deceased loved ones or angels, archangels, God, source, universe, right? There is so much around us. We're never alone. And
Ever.
but don't get creeped out because they don't bother you when you're in the shower doing other extracurricular
It's
activities.
like time out, people. Time out. Getting
Yeah.
started now. No.
You need to leave the room now. So we're not alone because we do have that higher self connection, and there's help for us any given moment. There's help for us always.
Yep.
But when you ask, you'll listen. You gotta listen. You gotta be aware. And it could be through a song. You get in your car and the radio's on, and the words could be through that song. But if you're busy about where you're going, what you're going to do, you're not going to hear the words of that song.
It's
And
true.
we're getting messages from spirit, from source, thousands of times a day.
Constantly.
Yeah, and it could be so life could be so easy, right? It would be so easy, so fun, but we're just our human brain and the way we have developed over the course of the years from our upbringing, blinders, and oh no, I can't believe in that because against my religion. I can't believe in that because it's too scary. If I do that, then I'm going to be haunted. It's all these crazy stories. I'm like, wow, you're a spirit and body. You're already connected. Let me tell you this, you're already connected. Newsflash.
And if you think you're going to be haunted, then by God, you probably will be haunted.
You probably will be.
Because
It'll be
that's
Aunt
what we
Mavis.
created.
Yeah, it'd be Aunt Mavis haunting your ass because you didn't
That's right.
visit her.
That's right. It's true. Because that's what you're creating. When you're worrying, you're creating. When you're thinking positive and thinking about how you want your day, you're creating. It's like, what do you want to create? You have spirit all around you all the time, every day. You have this infinite intelligence that's within us and around us all the time, every day. What do you want to create? And if I'm in a place
Everything,
of hopelessness, then I'm not going to be, that means obviously I'm not connected.
yeah, you're just shutting. It's like putting on that aluminum, foil head, cap. Like you're just cutting yourself off. Like, no, I
Yep.
got this. But then when you say I got this as a human, you will find how much struggle you will encounter, and things are going to seem hard. Life is going to seem hard. We opened up to that internal guidance and flow. Cool. Oh man, could be so easy.
That's right.
Could be so easy. Ah, what a great conversation. I love it. I love talking about spirit, all that stuff, intuition.
I do too.
I had to learn about it. It was not something that came natural to me. I had to learn. And there are people out there who had that upbringing, who had that. I just found out, didn't even know it, but I went to a school with a girl who she said she's a ninth generational clairvoyant. So she was raised with it. And, you know, people like that who are totally open to it, who've been with the upbringing of having that as part of their daily practice, they're so tuned in. They're so, right?
Yeah.
Um, but people like me, I knew there was something more, but I didn't know what it was because nobody around me could teach me that. I had to learn it through books and other teachers. So I had to do my own research. And then there's people who just not even open.
Exactly.
And I'm going to probably almost guarantee you that those people who aren't even open to their spiritual guidance are the ones that are deep into the depression and the anger and the guilt and the criticisms and the judgments, and they just stay there and stuck there and they can't see any other way out, and then they're really mad about life, and they're on their own hamster wheel with that. So just recognize where you fit in, and if you want something, you want more ease in your life, then maybe start looking into how to use or connect to your intuition. I know some amazing teachers, intuitive teachers that I have read books on, and you can mention the ones that may have helped you, Bev. Is my first book was Sylvia Browne's book, The Other Side and Back, and no, it was Life on the Other Side. Life on the Other Side, and then John Holland, Born Knowing, and then John Edwards has a book. I don't remember what it's called. And then, I mean, just from those people, it went on to others. So
Yeah.
Wayne Dyer's books are great because he talks about, spirituality and how there's something more. You have any to add to that?
I would say I would disagree with you with Sylvia Browne. I read a book of Tyler Henry's. A lot of it was really good information. And for me, I feel things, so it's like I'm almost connecting right with that person, with their energy and stuff when I'm reading stuff like that, and it starts showing me. I'll start noticing more things. Something it's not a book, what I've been listening to lately is Spirit Science, and I just went in and typed in Spirit Science #1, and it brings a lot of information forward, and it kind of breaks it down, and it's like he always tells you, do your own research. You don't have to take what he says, and just, I would say, take what resonates with you. It may be a word, or it may be nothing at all, or maybe just, for me right now, I'm trying to absorb as much, from like Saturday, I think Saturday afternoon on, I've been like, something clicked, and it's like I'm just trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible, as quickly as possible. So for me, through Spirit Science, I can listen to a lot of this stuff, and I actually watch the videos, which guides me in other things. So I'm writing down stuff. So it's
Is
just
this
really
is this like through YouTube or
through
where is this?
YouTube. Through YouTube, they have their own website too, but through YouTube you can watch all these videos.
Spirit Science?
Yeah.
I got right then.
You know, and I've watched a few of them over the years, but never went back and what, you know, I was told to go, you know, watch them from the beginning. I'm like, but I want to watch this other one about sacred geometry. And it's like, it's number 23. So I went back all the way to number 1 and started watching. You notice I had watched a couple of them, but I watched them again because for me, even if you've seen it once before, it's just like when you hear someone telling you a conversation, you're like, oh, I've heard that before. But if you listen to what they're telling you, there's going to be more that they add to it or more that's being told to you that you're going to pick up that's beneficial for yourself. Because there's always a give and take between anybody. You know, two people when they're having a conversation, there's always a give and take. Maybe more of a, for my give would be, I'm giving a thumbs up to spirit science because I like what they're saying, you know, and I'm taking so much more knowledge from them than I'm giving at that time. But
Yeah, awesome. And then there's also Gaia, right? GAIA. They have a, yeah, don't they have a station or something? And you can, it's a
they have a
subscription.
website. I don't know. I have a web. I've joined up to Gaia. GAIA, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah, .com. They've got so much information, and also on top of all that, they have like different like yoga and tai chi. I think they have all kinds of different stuff that you could practice online with them doing the same stuff.
yeah,
I think you get like maybe a month for free, and then it's a subscription, or at least it
yeah,
was at one time. So that's another good source for sure.
yeah. They have a lot of spiritual stuff in there. Awesome. Well, huh?
Abraham Hicks, we can never forget about that.
Oh man, Abraham Hicks. We gotta love her. Esther Hicks, Jerry
Yeah,
Hicks, Abraham.
Esther Hicks and Jerry. Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff on YouTube for that. I like that they have some people have gone in and done some short 15-minute clips, 10, 15-minute clips. And it gives you in that time, gives you a lot to think about and go, wow, okay. So it could be a very good energetic shift just in that short amount of time as well. It's like you don't have to have like this hour, 2 hour thing. It could be very short
yeah,
glimpses just to give you something to focus on and just make little shifts. All right, my friend, my sister in spirit, love spending this time with you. And if you
I do
find
too.
this information beneficial, please pass it along or share it with others and provide this information for free every week. So, and we love it.
That's right. We love it.
We
That's
do.
all that matters. No, but we will. We hope you love it too. But we do love it. I
Yeah.
said
And
we love it.
so whether anybody else loves it, we love it. We love having these conversations. And so you're a bonus in receiving the information.
Absolutely.
And
That's
then
right.
being the giver to share it with others. Just saying, give and receive.
That's right.
All right, my friends, have a wonderful week and we'll see you next time.
See you later.